Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker, and we are here to talk about tea questions, answer tea questions. If you have a tea question that you'd like to ask, make sure you either send me an email, you can reach me Twitter, Facebook. I'm on them all. You can find me, shoot your question, and I'll do my best to find that answer for you. A lot of people have questions about what kind of teas go with what kind of foods. Other people talk about how to steep or how to prepare a tea. A lot of people are just using the term green tea. And my question to you is, what do you mean by green tea? There are so many choices out there. Let's go ahead. Let's branch out a little bit. Let's find out a little bit more about those teas that are available. We have a white tea today. White teas may be newer to some people. A lot of your some health and beauty items are using white tea as an ingredient now, but originally, of course, we're talking about enjoying this tea as a drink, and the subtleties, which there are some subtleties here, of enjoying a white tea. So as we do, we're going to go ahead and get out our gaiwan here. We're going to get out enough, and this is going to be a small package, so this is going to be a little tricky. But if you're tasting along at home, you want to get out your spoon and you want to put in enough so that you can really cover the bottom of this gaiwan. Okay, this gaiwan actually has rings or ridges on the bottom of it, so actually it's kind of a point of reference. When I don't see those rings along the bottom of the gaiwan, then I know I've put in about what I want to put, what I prefer to put in. Steeping tea is a process of learning what your preferences are, how you prefer, how you enjoy your tea. Do not always just follow the, mindlessly follow the steeping guidelines. You want to be able to pull out what you enjoy most about the tea. We're getting a water here that's been brought to an early boil, and it's been cooling now for 40 seconds or more as I've been talking, because you don't want too high of a temperature on a white tea. These can be usually quite delicate. A white tea, the higher the quality of white tea, the higher the concentration of needles. This is actually a pure silver needle. Okay, so we want to be delicate with this. Set that over to the side and let that steep for just a few minutes as we kind of introduce this tea. As I said, it is a silver needle. This is from GrandTea. This is their White Down Silver Needle. A silver needle implying, or that name comes from the needle, the tip of the leaf of the tea plant as it's producing its new leaves. It starts out as a needle shape, and then that unfurls and opens up and becomes a leaf. And then inside that, you'll see a smaller, newer leaf, and that will unfurl, and so on as it grows. So these are silvery because they do have a silvery kind of fuzz. It's believed that fuzz protects the leaf as well from attacks in the early spring, as this is delicate and tender. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this dry leaf. Well, before I do that, let me back up here. 25 grams, which I don't see an indication as to the exact weight of this particular package. 25 grams is available on GrandTea's website for $4.60. This is from Fujian Province, which is the original home of silver needle type teas. So that's our introduction, and we're ready to move on to talk more about our dry leaf now. Silver needles or white teas often have a unique flavor or aroma components there. They're usually more subtle, like I said, more nuanced there. This one's got a bit of a clove component. There is something kind of sweet, something kind of spicy sweet in there. Got a little bit of a hay component as well. There's a little bit of that dry, because these are the processing is lighter on these teas. You're not getting some of those added roasted components or flavors effects from the roasting and the drying process systems. So this one's more pure, unadulterated, well, not adulterated, but unaffected by the processing. So you got some of that hay component. You got a little bit of a kind of a dandelion sweetness there, a little bit of a tribute to summer coming out there. Okay. Looking at these leaves, as we said, these are silvery in appearance. They are fuzzy. These needles are an inch to 2 inches in length. They've got, most of them are whole needles, very slender, lots of fuzz. You can actually feel. You want to kind of take out a few of your leaves and just kind of pet them, because they do have a very noticeable fuzz on them. Very soft. Okay, so that takes care of our dry leaf. Let's because we don't want to let this over steep, we want to be sure to pour that soon. So we're going to get out our towel. We got our pitcher here, which can allow us to look at the color of the liquor. I'm going to tilt our lid over to the side a little bit to let that pour through smoothly. If you do not move your lid over enough, you will have, the water will not flow through fast enough. It will end up trying to spill out the sides where your fingers are, and you're going to scald your fingers. So you want to make sure to get a nice wide opening. You want to be sure to get a quick pour so it doesn't dribble down the side either. And there we go. Nice smooth pour. As we said, this is going to be a lighter color liquor, and that's what we've got here. So let's go ahead and talk about this wet leaf a little bit. Dry off the bottom and then give it a smell. Okay, you are getting a little bit of that hay component, and you are getting some of that wet. You're also getting more of a, like a wet hay, a soggy wet hay kind of green hay. Think of something that, if you've ever been out in the countryside where they've cut hay, it has that fresh cut, like a mowed lawn kind of smell. But then as it dries out, before it's fully cured for the summer, it has that intermediate component where it is just kind of partly green, partly dry. The saps and the juices are becoming more concentrated in there. The chlorophyll has dissipated, and you're left with the sugars, more of the sugars in the hay, and that's what you're getting here. Concentrated sugars here. A little bit of possibly a little bit of a light green bean component here. So those are the dominant factors or elements here. I'm going to take these leaves that have stuck to the lid, toss them back in so that I can get just a little bit of a, again, our needles haven't changed much. They've become consistent green color. The silvery look of the pale look of them has become more, really turned into a green element. Okay, not really a whole lot more to add. These are, like we said, these are not the smallest that I've seen, but they're not grossly huge either. So this would make me question as to what point in the season this was harvested, which is a question to explore for later. And that really takes care of our wet leaf. Let's go ahead and pour and really get into this liquor now. The flavor components or aromas on the liquor itself are quite light. Again, it's that intermediate level of hay, not fully cured. So it's kind of damp. It's kind of a concentrated mineral sweetness there. We said pale yellow in our color here. Actually, as it's oxidized more, it's becoming a little bit of a yellow, from the pale yellow over to a light pale yellow brown. Okay, let's give it a pour and try it out here. Also looks a little bit light, very faint beige type color in the cup as well. Now you're not going to get a lot of aftertaste and a thick broth off of a white tea compared to other kinds of teas. This one does have that wet hay component coming out, so it's got a faint sweetness to it. But at the same time, you're not going to get a lot of astringency either. The body is very light as well. Okay. As it cools, it's getting a little bit more astringent. The wet hay component is picking up a little bit more. Okay, but it's also I find the brothiness is standing out a little bit more as well. It's giving a little bit of a very light, faint, silken type coating on the mouth and the insides of your cheeks. So, looking at this tea as a whole, I'm going to give this tea probably an 89. It has some of the components. I mean, we picked up the dry leaf and we had a little bit of that, as we said, some kind of clove component, some kind of dandelion type aspect to it. I've even had some that had more of a bit of a cucumber type component in there, cucumber type sweetness. If you peel the skin off a cucumber and you're left with the meat inside, that sweetness there. This one was more subdued. It didn't really branch out and bring a variety of those aspects together. So you're left with that one kind of monochrome, monolithic type wet hay component, combined with the fact that it just didn't really bring all of the texture, all of the sweetness that can be present. You can expect a little bit more of the light sweetness in the aftertaste than this one specifically brings. So come back to Walker Tea Review, where we're talking about this tea. You know, we're answering those questions about what kind of teas are enjoyable, what kind of teas are valuable, what kind of teas do you enjoy, and we'll continue to explore that here at Walker Tea Review.